The good news is I know what I want for Christmas. The bad news is I'm going to need a bigger stocking. The Shoddycast storyteller is back in the Commonwealth, or at least his voice is, in the form of the Wasteland Codex. This codex is a holotape that starts out reasonably empty, but as you travel around the Commonwealth will slowly fill up with useful pieces of information.
Poseidon Energy was incontestably the most powerful energy conglomerate on Earth prior to the Great War. An umbrella corporation with its fingers in virtually all known forms of renewable and non-renewable power sources. The history of the children of Adam is tied closely to the history of Megaton, a town located by the ruins of old Washington, D.C. The founders of the religion were...
You can actually stop the audio at any time just by selecting stop audio, so don't worry if you select something by mistake. Now you might be thinking to yourself, isn't it going to be a little frustrating each time I discover something new to have to go into the Pip-Boy, go along to the miscellaneous section, open the codex and play it? Well, it might be, except they've added a setting that you can find in settings or in the MCM if you have that mod that will allow you to autoplay any entries that you discover. So as you're travelling around the Commonwealth finding things, you will get little messages, and then...
In the back when times, the domesticated cow was everywhere, a staple of American life.
This means you can just wander around the Commonwealth doing whatever it is you're doing without really having to pay much attention, and occasionally you will be rewarded with a little snippet of information, a little piece of lore or history that will just enrich your experience. It's not information that will be new to many of you, but sometimes it will have a different slant, or it will have one or two details you were unaware of. It's a great little mod that adds just a little more flavour to the Wasteland, and I'm hoping they continue to add new entries, because at the moment there are only a certain section of the entries that are complete. I'm hoping it will be totally and completely done at some point in the future if they get positive feedback. So please try the mod out, give them that positive feedback, and become a little wiser about the Wasteland along the way. This is a beautiful road. Now I know you're thinking, dude, it's just a road. But no, it's a beautiful road. It's a road that has been retextured by NMC. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because he is the OG of Fallout texture mods. I'm not completely sure if I'm using that term right, but there you go. For those of you that don't know, NMC was the creator of probably the biggest and one of the original texture mods for Fallout 3, and after that, Fallout New Vegas. His mod packs pretty much changed every aspect, or at least so many aspects of those games' textures that it was considered a complete overhaul. Even later on, when other texture packs came out and people started using them, many people used NMCs as a base because it just covered so many different textures and it was so well done. Well, now he's made it to Fallout 4 and he started with the roads of the Commonwealth, and they are a vast improvement. It's not going to be something that you notice constantly, and that's actually one of the signs of a great texture mod. It changes it in a way that when you look directly at the road, you actually don't think about it. Now, normally when I look at the roads in Fallout, if I look at them for any amount of time, I start to think, eee, that's hideous. The same is true of signs and some other textures actually. Well, this just removes that feeling. So in some ways, this mod makes me stop thinking about the roads by making them look just a little more road-like. They seem to have slightly more detail and a greater feeling of texture rather than just being sort of an image mapped onto an object. They actually look a little rougher without seeming to be overly sharp, without seeming to be processed. There are actually two versions, one that is higher definition than the other, but I noticed no performance drop whatsoever using even the largest file. So for me, this was a no-brainer. I love the texture, it does not affect my system negatively at all, and it makes the game look a lot better in a way that I barely notice. And again, that is one of the great things in a good texture mod, in my opinion. It may often be true to say that good texture mods are mods that you forget you're using pretty quickly, but the same cannot be said for the next mod. This is the Ridable Robot mod. And subtle it is not. If you are one of those people who likes to listen to these videos without actually looking at the video, now is the time to go back and look at the screen, because there is no way to do this mod justice without showing you what it gives you. Because whilst it does give you what it says on the tin, a rideable robot, what it forgets to mention is that it's a bloody enormous rideable robot. Well, it can be bloody enormous. Occasionally, it can actually be reasonably small. But I'd like to focus for now on the bloody enormous one. And you might be thinking exactly what I was thinking when I first saw this mod, that it's a bit of a gimmick mod. The sort of mod you install, play around with for a few hours just having a laugh, and then you uninstall and go back to your serious playthrough. I'm making air quotes. Well, no. This mod is so good, you could actually do a full playthrough riding around in one of these things. They're very easy to control, they're very maneuverable, and you can even fight from them. The controls are actually pretty simple. If you want to shoot your main weapon, which is the weapon in your right hand, just click the left mouse key. The problem is it's actually kind of hard to aim. But don't worry, if you press the right mouse key instead, the robot actually goes into a kind of AI mode where it fights for you. It will use both weapons, it will even do melee punch attacks, and it will move to the opponents. And it's a little clumsy at times, but it works. And you even get this little defensive dodge maneuver if you press the jump key, because you can't actually jump, you just sort of dash to the side. And you can even customize these rideable robots. You can change the torso, for example. I've only got a few unlocked at the moment, but you can change the legs as well. And for example, if you want to use the Space Sentry legs or the normal Sentry legs, you can do so. You can use RoboBrain treads if you want an all-terrain potty with guns. Oh, and yes, you can have a variety of arms, all the usual suspects, and all of the usual weapons. You can even change the paint, so you can have a giant rideable pink robot. And believe it or not, you can even use Mr. Handy thrusters instead of legs and create a kind of flying rideable. It's more like a flying teacup than a flying saucer, I suppose. It's actually a lot of fun to fly this thing, although I didn't find a way to go down. It seems to stay at the same height no matter what, so I had to keep going back to the settlement I built it at to get off, otherwise I'd never get back up. Oh, and you better be wearing some sort of armor or power armor that allows you to drop great distances if you get out much above, 20 or 30 feet. Now, whilst you can customize these robots, you can't build them from scratch. You will need to find them out in the Commonwealth. There are 6, I've only found 2 so far, and you will collect other body parts, other body types. You will need to kill the owner, the rider of the robot, before you can take control of it, and you will also need his ring. You need to put a control ring on instead of your wedding ring. So you're going to have to decide which is more important, the memory of your dead wife or riding around in a large robot. Do not destroy the robot itself or you will lose it. And I will warn you, if you don't use that to kill the rider, you probably need to get up high, somewhere where you can, make an easy shot, because they're kind of difficult to shoot from on the ground, especially when they're trying to punch you in the face. Overall, I was actually really impressed with this mod. I did anticipate it was just going to be one of those gimmick mods that entertained me for a little while, but in fact I started to think of viable playthrough options, ways I could use this mod and have a lot of fun over a long and serious playthrough. I loved the customizations, I enjoyed messing around with it, and the only thing I think I would like to see is something done about the Mr. Handy thruster version, because obviously flying, whilst it was a lot of fun, it wasn't actually viable because you couldn't go down, you couldn't land. So it would be nice if that got fixed a little. But apart from that, this mod is just really impressive. And that's where I'm going to end this video. I noticed that you guys have continued to post some great screenshots over on my Nexus page, so I'm going to use those to end this video as usual. A big thank you to everybody who has contributed so far, and if you would like to add your own image, I will leave a link down below to another video that will show you exactly how you can do so, and let me thank you in advance for even considering it. I will be back with another Fallout 4 mod vault when some mods grab my attention and insist I play around with them. I hope you could join me for that video whenever it happens, or any of my other videos of course. I would love it if you could join me for those. I look forward to seeing you there, and until then, remember as always, have fun. If you're curious as to whether I've covered a mod in one of my videos, feel free to go along to my website gophersvids.com and check the search functionality out. Just type the name of the mod you're interested in, open up the settings and filter by mods only. Click for search and you will see whether or not I've covered that mod. Click on the mod and it will also show you any of the videos this mod appears in.